The morning haze parts over the Mediterranean, revealing the stone silhouette of Tyre. Macedonian commanders stand upon polished teak decks, their wool cloaks heavy with salt spray. Behind them, the colossal siege tower waits upon its reinforced barge, anchored by stone blocks in the gentle swell. As the season warms, the shallow lagoons become a crucible of engineering. Macedonian sappers wade through knee-deep currents, hauling timber and compacted earth sacks. Their boots sink into the shifting sand, forging a solid foundation while the anchored tower waits for the next phase of construction. High above the newly formed ramp, Tyrian defenders brace along the crenellated parapets. Bronze helmets catch the harsh midday sun as they track the slow, grinding advance of the Macedonian tower. Wind whips through their heavy cloaks, but their disciplined stances remain unbroken against the sun. The causeway stretches like a scar across the water, bearing the weight of relentless ambition. Seagate crews march in synchronized rhythm, driving thick wooden poles against the packed earth. Their muscles strain under the golden hour light as the tower. Desperation fuels the Tyrian response as sleek fire skiffs glide through the sheltered channel. Crews lean forward in coordinated strokes, oil-soaked torches flickering in the evening air. They track the exposed timber base of the advancing tower, preparing to unleash a wall. Along the causeway's terminus, Macedonian marine raiders raise polished bronze shields in a tight defensive line. They brace against the incoming skiffs, spears leveled and eyes locked on the flickering torches. The towering structure behind them absorbs. Autumn winds sweep across the western battlements, carrying the groan of massive torsion engines. Tyrian ballistae operators lean to their loaded arms, winch handles gripped tight. They align their iron-tipped bolts with the advancing tower, waiting for the precise. Behind the advancing ramp, Macedonian artillery batteries brace their heavy catapults against the recoil. Gunners lean into wooden firing levers, aligning their payloads with the distant western wall. The towering structure bears the scars of incoming stone, yet its relentless momentum pushes forward through the gap. Beneath the churning surface, Tyrian harbor, diverse surface, near the causeway's foundation. Clad in wet woolen bronze masks, they grip heavy stone anchors against the current. They mark the depth of the undermined timber, coordinating a silent war of attrition. As dusk settles, Macedonian repair teams march along the damaged ramp. They carry heavy timber beams and compacted earth sacks, bracing against the shallow water. Volumetric light pierces the evening haze, illuminating their coordinated effort as they reinforce the crumbling foundation beneath the weight. The northern harbor entrance becomes a theater of impending assault. Macedonian naval boarders stand upon the lead trireme, gripping thick wooden poles and command standards. They scan the fortified defenses, their bronze cuirasses catching the low evening light as the massive tower. On the stone breakwater, Tyrian harbor wardens hold their ground against the gathering twilight. Bronze helmets reflect the dying sun as they grip long spears and heavy shields. They track the approaching Macedonian borders, their signaling horns ready to coordinate a desperate. Winter arrives with a biting chill as the Macedonian assault phalanx takes position at the causeway's terminus. Bronze shields are raised, long sarissas braced against the incoming fire. They scan the gaping breach in the wall, their disciplined advance shadowed by the scorched timber of the tower. Within the inner courtyard, Tyrian street guards stand along the cobblestone streets, their wool cloaks heavy with winter dust. They grip heavy spears and round shields, tracking the slow march of the Macedonian phalanx. The towering structure looms over the breach, partially collapsed yet still. The northern harbor echoes with the thunder of hooves as Macedonian companion cavalry takes the field. Mounted warriors lean forward in controlled postures, gripping thick reins and command standards. They scan the harbor defenses, their bronze armor gleaming as the massive tower continues. High upon the upper terraces, Tyrian citadel inhabitants mobilize for the final defense. They grip heavy timber beams and stone blocks, their linen tunics stark against the harsh midday sun. They track the approaching cavalry, their coordinated effort reflecting a city fighting for its victory. As the final season turns, Macedonian vanguard officers stand along the causeway's terminus, bronze cuirasses reflecting the low evening light. They grip thick wooden standards and measuring rods, marking the breach width with deliberate steps. The towering structure absorbs the heat as they Within the inner sanctum, Tyrian royal commanders stand along the marble colonnades, their bronze helmets illuminated by flickering torchlight. They grip heavy wooden staffs and bronze shields, tracking the approaching Macedonian vanguard. Their strategic defense holds firm as the towering engine waits at the breach's edges. Spring returns to the island as Macedonian citadel. Assaulters ascend the stone steps, their bronze cuirasses catching the low morning light. They grip thick wooden boarding poles and command standards, scanning the final defenses. The towering structure stands ready at the ramp's turn. Upon the polished teak decks, Macedonian garrison commanders hold their command posture, eyes locked on the fortified coastline. Heavy wool cloaks ripple in the morning breeze as they measure the distance to the shallow reefs. The siege tower remains anchored, waiting in silence